Nancy Pelosi, in my opinion, is the worst Speaker of the House ever. She took impeachment off the table, which I thought was a strategic blunder. Why would you take the strongest tool that you have off the table? This leaves a blank check to these people that have already showed that they don't have any regard for the Congress or the rule of law to begin with.
The difference is that I and others have with the administration are at issue every day in what we do in the Congress. Every day. When we try to override a veto, when we differ with the President on dozens, hundreds of policy questions, when we fight as hard as we can for policy changes. The notion that if you have disagreements with the President, the only way to show that you're really serious about it is to impeach him, or try to impeach him, is an idea that I think, I simply disagree with that. I disagree with it as a tactical matter. Believe me, the differences with the administration are real, and when I hear what impeachment advocates are, what their grievances are with the administration, many of those have real weight and have real merit, and I'm acting on them every day. I do not think that mounting an impeachment effort right now, which would divert energy and effort away from everything else that we're doing, would absorb the entire Congress in that effort, and I leave it the judgment to you as to whether that would mean at the end of the day we would change administrations and get a new president. I remember the response of the American people when the Republicans attempted to impeach Bill Clinton. You know, we picked up a lot of seats that next election in the Congress. So it's a serious tactical disagreement. The point is not who's maddest about this administration or who's most disaffected. We have varying degrees of anger and disaffection and desire to change things. But let's not assume that there's only one way to express that disagreement. There are many, many ways, and we need to explore them all. And much of what I've mentioned here tonight, that's exactly what we're doing.
Your personal stance about impeachment that follows exactly what it is that the Speaker of the House has, which is that the impeachment questions are off the table as far as she's concerned. However, what he presented was 35 articles of impeachment. Which one do you disagree with?
I've explained already, I think, why the point is not who is more disaffected with the administration or whose disagreements are more severe. The question is one of tactics, simply what's the most effective and responsible way of dealing with that, and I've given you the best answer I can.
So I'm confused. Is tactical party positions more important than tactical country and constitution positions? Thank you.
Congressman Price, after 4,500 signatures and the 4th District Democrats convention supporting impeachment, why do you seem to be more interested in supporting the House leadership instead of your local constituents?
It's essential that Bush and his minions be brought to justice for war crimes, torture in particular.
The articles that were raised by Congressman Kucinich that are also supported by Congressman Wexler raise some very, very serious crimes. It's not just a question of political approaches, but it's a potential of what some of us believe are very serious crimes.
And you talk about that you have a difference in tactics. Well, the tactics that are normally used are oversight hearings, but when you have a politicized Justice Department and a politicized Attorney General like Casey, regular oversight hearings do not work. Subpoenas are not answered, and executive privilege is used as a roadblock. What besides impeachment can you do to really hold these folks into account, because they're going to keep throwing up executive privilege and not even bother to answer the subpoenas?
I've heard you refer to the actions of the Bush administration as dark day, disgraceful, dishonor, but I haven't heard you refer to them as crimes, actually. And I think that's what the impeachment issue is about. It's not a political tactic to get advantage in Washington. It's about prosecuting crimes, against the Constitution.
Sadly, David Price has been a huge disappointment to me. Whenever we bring up impeachment, he always argues with us that it's a matter of tactics, that we disagree on tactics, that we don't disagree that this is probably the worst president in the history of our country, but yet we've repeatedly asked him, well, what tactic would be as effective as impeachment? These oversight hearings, you keep getting blocked. They keep throwing executive privilege out at you. The Justice Department is not helping you break through any of this. What other tactic in your estimation can be as effective as impeachment in breaking through executive privilege? He's never been able to answer us on that, and he's never been able to really tell us how he believes his tactics are going to be effective in holding these people accountable. And sadly, since the Democrats took over in 2006, there really hasn't been accountability. You've had Harriet Miers and Josh Bolten basically, and Karl Rove laugh in the face of subpoenas, and just this week, I have to say, a judge who is a Bush appointee and has been very pro-Bush administration has done a very a very good thing that leaves hope for optimism, which is he's found that they can't use executive privilege as a blanket thing. But there's going to be an appeal, and this is just a drawn-out process. Whereas if the Congress took stronger action, for example, there's something called inherent contempt, which they themselves can turn into a court and actually send the sergeant at arms to go get Karl Rove in handcuffs and bring him down and force him to testify. It's not unprecedented. That used to happen before this agreement was struck between the Congress and the Justice Department. And Mukasey's actions have warranted Congress going back to that. But sadly, this Congress is afraid or doesn't want to take serious and decisive steps because they think that this is going to make them lose power, I believe, in November. But in my opinion, there are some things more important than the loss of power, and that's standing up for what's right and living up to the oath that they took to the Constitution to protect it from all enemies, foreign and domestic.
The National Intelligence Estimate, which is a group of 16 intelligence agencies of the United States, came to a consensus that Iran had stopped its nuclear weapons program in 2003. Now that came out in December. Backing that is also the report by the International Atomic Energy Agency, which has said that Iran does not pose a threat with its nuclear weapons development. Now there's two very important and trustworthy sources that are saying that Iran has stopped with its nuclear weapons program. On the other hand, you have George Bush come with a presidential finding where he is saying that it is a threat. So who are you going to believe? Those people like the International Atomic Energy Agency, it's won a Nobel Peace Prize, or the George Bush administration, which has told 935 lies to get us into Iraq.
All you hear about is uranium enrichment, uranium enrichment. First of all, under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, Iran is allowed to have uranium enrichment for peaceful purposes. And so far, the International Atomic Energy Agency has been able to come in and do inspections, and they have found nothing untoward about anything that they're doing. But do we hear that in the mainstream media? Absolutely not. It's just this constant drumbeat for more war. And with what troops are we going to fight this war? We're already overstretched, and our military is already hurting.